Human trafficking is both a new and growing issue. It's an old issue, but the attention to it has really increased recently. But it's also a very hot-button, popular issue that is framed in terms of the global West rescuing the East. And it needs to be really thought about much more carefully in terms of its diversity and complexity and its grounding in global economic inequality. My hope in this lecture is to talk about how diverse the phenomenon of trafficking is, and to talk about why it's such a popular issue right now. People are spending a lot of money in it, and to some extent this may be dealing with a small, real problem, but also missing a lot of other more serious problems that need to be dealt with about poverty and lack of opportunity that actually drives people to get caught in these forms of exploitative labor. One of the issues that I'm really concerned about is the way we use quantitative information without really being careful where it comes from and what it means and who's producing it. And trafficking is a field where this is a very serious problem. We really have no idea how many people are trafficked, and yet this talk about trafficking is justifying all kinds of criminal justice intervention. So I would like the Albright scholars to become what I call indicator literate, which is much more skeptical about data and more careful to look at where it comes from and who's producing it when they use it as the basis for policy. I am very pleased to have the opportunity to talk to the Albright Fellows because I think that Wellesley College offers students a wonderful opportunity to become actors on the global stage, and this Albright Institute really helps. When I was a faculty member here, we took students on trips to India, and I can see it was very transformative in their lives. And it's so important for people these days to be global citizens, to understand the place of the U.S. in the world, to see us as one among many countries, not as the savior of all the rest, but to be critical about ourselves and our role and our complicity in the global inequality that is developing. And if there's anything that I think that the Albright Fellows need to learn, it's that we aren't separate from the rest of the world, that it's our mines, our agricultural investment, our polluting the environment that is really affecting some of these problems we see in the rest of the world. And we need to think about them all together. My advice to the Albright Fellows as they continue to work is to continue to be skeptical about what they know and where they got this information, and to realize that they are actually in charge of thinking about this, and they don't just have to go along with policies, but to keep the scholarly academic perspective going and maybe resist sliding into highly emotional issues without really thinking carefully about whether or not that's the best way to be intervening.